Before this episode begins, I'd like to say that I will be heading to DinoCon UK on the 25th and 26th of July in Birmingham. So if you see me wandering around in my podcast t-shirt, come and say hello. I have bookmarks and pin badges to give away as well. I'm really looking forward to it, and I'll see you there. This is just a warning to say that this episode features spoilers, mild language, and lots of talk about dinosaurs. Now, if that's not for you, then drop what you're doing and leave now.
It's rare that you hear from the star of the movie before the movies come out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and hear them like saying how it feels like a disaster.
Hello and welcome back to Road to Rebirth. I'm Roland Squire. Each week in the lead up to Jurassic World Rebirth, I'm sitting down and chatting with a guest about an entry or aspect of the Jurassic saga. And today is the turn of 2001's Jurassic Park 3. By the time The Lost World came out in 1997, a brand had been established, and the dino boom was not abating. While The Lost World was in production, Universal Studios in California opened the long-gestated Jurassic Park River Adventure, which takes riders on a tour of Jurassic Park before plunging them down an 80-foot drop in a flume as a T-Rex bursts out of a waterfall. And on the BBC in 1999, there was the groundbreaking documentary series Walking with Dinosaurs, which coincidentally is also making a comeback. All in all, it was just a mere formality that in June 1998, a third Jurassic Park entered production. However, Spielberg would be vacating the director's chair and handing it over to Jumanji and ILM alumni Joe Johnston. But Spielberg would still have a very active executive producer role. He had a clear idea of what he wanted the story to involve. He wanted the pteranodons that he'd removed from the end of The Lost World to finally get their moment in a new Jurassic film. He also wanted Sam Neill back as Dr. Alan Grant. However, beyond that point, the story was up in the air. David Koepp was not returning. Aussie director Craig Rosenberg was the first to take a stab at a script. However, that was passed on pretty quickly, for then Peter Buckman to come on and have another go. But again, this didn't really cut it, and nobody was particularly excited about the story that they had going into production. Time was ticking on, and so Spielberg, as is his wont, halted production, and Johnson threw out the script 5 weeks before shooting began, only to get on board election writers Alexander Payne and Jim Taylor. To help me navigate the tricky and troubled waters of Jurassic Park 3, I sat down with Daniel Stephen, the host and creator of the amazing Jurassic Park 3 podcast called Stuck on Sorna. Hello, Daniel.
Hi, Roland. I'm doing great. Thank you very much for inviting me on. I'm very happy to be here and excited to talk Jurassic Park 3.
Amazing. Yeah, me too. This film holds a very special place in my heart, and there's just so much to talk about it. My first question is, are you excited for Rebirth?
Oh, yeah. I mean, right now, the hype is real. The bar is pretty high for it. I really do feel like it's potentially what Jurassic Park 3 could have been. It's got that same kind of apparently a family's crashed on the island. They kind of rescue, or unintentional rescue mission. You got the Spino back.
Yes.
Hints at the JP3 Raptor, kind of like similar style design. So, and David Koepp is writing it. So, no matter what else was going into the film, who was in it, who directed it, David Koepp, he knows much more about Jurassic Park and Lost World than I'll ever know. Like, that was his job, right? Looking at the source material. So, I mean, he's the guy you want writing this film. So that's like my number one reason why I'm excited for it. So, as of this recording, I'm very, very excited.
But yeah, I'm very excited for Gareth Edwards and for obviously David Koepp, somebody who's probably read those books more than anybody.
I would assume back in the 90s, he was like nonstop delving into these books. I mean, diving into it, reading it, notes on the walls. Like he had to know everything, even if the movies weren't very like closely reliable to the novels, right? There's a lot of changes, especially with The Lost World, but it still maintains a lot of like the same feeling. Ian Malcolm character, I mean, great dialogue. So it's a very exciting time to be a Jurassic fan.
Yeah.
More so than I think I was even, a few years ago after, Fallen Kingdom. I was kind of let down pretty pretty big, but right now it's like, okay, it's kind of like a fresh start. We're back to an island. It's everything I love about Jurassic Park. So, I mean, I couldn't be more excited really at this point. I'm just, of course, I'm very cautious about being let down because that's happened multiple times in my life when it comes to Jurassic Park.
I'm just amazed at the speed, like the turnaround of this film, particularly after Dominion. Now that was kind of said to be the end, and then suddenly, bang, we're back to it.
Yeah, a quick one too. Yeah, it is amazing how fast it came about. And I mean, in my mind, it's just because like David Koepp knows it so well. And when I think of it like as what JP3 could have been, I do wonder if he had been like working on this idea, at least in his mind, if not on paper, for the last 2 decades, just thinking about, man, if I had time to like actually write a Jurassic Park 3, what would it have been? And I wonder if like that kind of sped things along, or the conversations with him and Spielberg throughout the years, because it happened really quick, more so than like, I mean, it was almost unexpected. When they said the release date, I was kind of shocked by it, how soon it would be.
And that's interesting because they must have been so confident on that script, which, I suppose we will talk about today with Jurassic Park 3. That wasn't always the case during that point. Today the mission is to try and get across all the kind of fun and slightly frantic behind-the-scenes stories from Jurassic Park 3. Might not be able to cover it all. This is just a taster.
Yeah, let's do it.
Daniel, do you mind setting us up by giving us a synopsis for Jurassic Park 3?
Yeah, I mean, what's great about JP3 is a very simple, straightforward plot synopsis. I mean, our lovable Dr. Grant, the man who says he will never return to the island, is approached by a seemingly wealthy businessman named Paul Kirby, who offers him the opportunity for money to be a tour guide from the air over an airplane to go over Isla Sorna. But of course, Paul Kirby is not a wealthy businessman. He has different intentions. His son is on the island after a parasailing accident. And that's pretty much, I mean, chaos ensues when the plane crashes. I mean, that's what's kind of great about it. Like it's good and bad, obviously, right? But I mean, it's very simple. It's a rescue mission. They got to rescue the kid. That wasn't Grant's intention, but throughout the film, he goes from being done with dinosaurs, like the living InGen monsters, to having an appreciation for them, even though his student was almost killed. I don't know how else to describe the movie. It's
No, that's great. That's amazing. Thank you. What was your memory of first seeing Jurassic Park 3?
Yeah, the first time I saw it, I was actually like disappointed in it.
Okay.
And I don't know, I can never like going into it, I was 13 years old in the summer of 2001. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I was counting down the days, going to Dan's JP3 page, rumors, pictures, everything. And my problem might have been like, I had read the junior novelization before I saw the film. So that could have influenced it a little bit. Whereas like, I should just watch the movie, because the novelization is like sometimes word for word, right? It's very faithful to...
I've never actually read it, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I think because some things are different. Not much, but like as a kid, I read it and I saw the movie. In the movie, there were a lot of great things I loved about it. But I think the big thing was the way it ended so quickly. It felt really weird. Like even as a 13-year-old, I felt like I needed more from that movie. There needed to be something big at the end of it instead of just being rescued. So my first initial viewing was a little bit of a letdown. I didn't like instantly, like now I love it. I appreciate it. I get more of the backstory for maybe why it wasn't a longer film. But something felt different about it compared to watching the first 2 movies, which were about a half hour longer. And it's like, I mean, you watch Jurassic Park and you don't see the T-Rex until like an hour into it, right? I mean, Spielberg did a great job like hiding the dinosaurs, where JP3 is like instantly, which is a good thing now, right? I look at it as like a positive, but you get right into the action. The Spinosaurus is on full display right when you get to the island. So it was very different. The T-Rex getting killed, Alan and Ellie not being together. There's a lot of different, like, as a kid, it just felt different.
Yeah.
But of course, I saw it twice in theaters. Then when it was on VHS for Christmas, me and my brother watched it like all the time, just like nonstop. It was always playing. And I think just over the years, especially since Jurassic World came out, like I've learned to appreciate it more.
Okay.
Like more curious about it.
My first time watching Jurassic Park 3, I was at the family holiday to San Francisco, actually. And I was just so excited to see it. 13. I just loved it from the first time I saw it. I remember getting back to the UK and taking my friends to go and see it. And nobody else was as excited as me coming out. It was amazing.
Yeah.
I honestly just turn around, I'll go and sit and watch it again. I think I enjoyed it more than The Lost World, and I didn't realise why at the time. I think it was just because the look of the film felt closer to how Dean Cundey filmed the jungle in Jurassic Park, and then you had somebody completely different for Janusz Kaminski. Jurassic Park 3 was the first thing I had on DVD, and with it came DVD extras. And so I just poured over all of those and just watched it. And so it was the film I knew probably the best out of all three. So, as I said in my introduction, this is the first film not directed by Spielberg and no source material from Crichton directly. So we have Joe Johnston directing. Why do you think Joe Johnston ended up getting this role to direct Jurassic Park 3?
Yeah, I mean, from everything I've read, Joe had worked with Spielberg and George Lucas going back to the 70s. I mean, so they've all known each other. And I know that, I think from one quote that I had read was that Joe had asked Spielberg to direct The Lost World.
Right.
And then Spielberg decided to direct it. But he said that if there was another sequel, you could direct it. So it sounded like it was more like a friend type of situation. Like, I respect you, the filmmaker.
Okay, yeah.
You can do the next one. And I mean, Joe Johnston in the 90s, I mean, Jumanji, that's like a movie I grew up like loving. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Rocketeer, October Sky. Like, he's done some, like, to me, some 90s classics and beyond. I mean, it makes sense why he would direct Jurassic Park 3, more so than Colin Trevorrow would direct Jurassic World. Like, as far as like experience and connections, that kind of thing, it makes sense.
I love this. I read a story that Joe Johnston went on like a dig with paleontologist Jack Horner to get into character for the film.
Yeah.
And that's where they cooked up the idea for letting the T-Rex take a back seat and kind of finding something bigger and badder, I think. But what's your idea of the T-Rex being A, on the poster, and B, like the main antagonist of the film?
I mean, I've always liked it. Even as a kid, I thought I wasn't some like diehard T-Rex fan. So I mean, when it died, it wasn't like devastating to me. I think the poster change was pretty cool. And I love the JP3 poster. I hate that they've taken the Spino off. I think like the 4K release. I think they've changed it on some of them, which is kind of strange to me because I mean, it's one of the great things about JP3 is making changes and, trying something new. I mean, killing off the T-Rex, clearly, as we've had 6 films now, the T-Rex has been a hero quite often. Like, it's almost comical at this point if they try it again where the T-Rex is going to save the day at the end. The Spino makes sense. It makes sense for a good marketing, selling point for a third film. It's like, got to do something different. There's bigger dinosaurs. And I love that Joe was clearly interested in dinos, like wanted to know more. I mean, I can't say anymore if Colin did the same thing or not, but with Joe, like from everything I've read, even I think last year he spoke at the Museum of the Rockies. I think it was one of the museums that it was like some kind of fundraiser he was speaking at, which I would have loved to have gone, but the tickets were a little bit out of my price range. But I mean, he clearly still has an interest and a passion for dinosaurs, which is pretty cool. So I mean, I'm sure that might have played a little bit into Spielberg asking him or letting him do JP3.
The thing of Crichton not coming back, do you know whether Crichton was consulted at all?
That's a good question. I would think so, but I don't know for sure. I mean, I don't know if for sure. Okay, so we know David Koepp supposedly came up with the idea of a simple rescue mission.
Yeah.
Like just make it very simple. So I don't know if I'm getting confused where it was Koepp or if it was Crichton who was involved for a few days but couldn't like crack an idea, like think of a good idea for a third film. I should know that answer, but I don't. I feel like, I mean, because
I feel like there must have been a conversation, surely, with the relationship that Spielberg and...
Oh, I would assume he'd be, I mean, between him and David Koepp, they'd probably be the first two people you would talk to.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things, even as a 13-year-old who had read the novels, I was kind of surprised that Paul Kirby wasn't involved with Dodgson, like just having that kind of character. Like why wasn't he that same character?
Yeah.
Because you read the Lost World novel and it's like, okay, you're going to Isla Sorna, you're going to steal dinosaur eggs or whatever you need to take.
Yeah.
You'd probably want a dinosaur expert, right? So kidnapping Grant makes sense. Like that seems like the most obvious logical plot line for the film, but they never go there. Paul Kirby's just a guy. So, I mean, I feel like if Crichton was involved, he probably like just use the Lost World plot, the plot that you threw out from the book, because the movie and the book are very different. But there's so much in that book they could have used for JP3. And I feel like they were on the right track. Like they were getting there, right? I'm so curious to like, if I haven't really thought much about that. How much was Crichton involved in it? Because I think if he was involved, even for a few days or a month, like I feel like he would have suggested more from the Lost World novel.
Because it's a big, daunting job for Joe Johnston to take on. Spielberg's not, he's going to be executive producing it. He's going to go off and do some other films, and you're going to be the one that's handling it.
Yeah.
And Michael Crichton now isn't going to be involved. You're like, oh my, yeah. How do I kind of navigate this mammoth film?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. I do wonder if Joe Johnston signed on, like, did he think David Koepp was involved? Did he think Michael Crichton was involved? Yeah. Did he think Spielberg would be more available than he was? Because, I mean, what I've read, and I think most people know, like, there was a script in 1999 from Craig Rosenberg that was tossed out, and like,
okay.
I guess the question would be if they'd gone with that first script, or, I mean, because they didn't film until, I think, late summer into the fall of 2000, right? So it makes me now just think about this. Like, if I could ask Joe Johnston questions, I'd be asking, when you signed on, what was the plan for did Spielberg give you a treatment or an outline and say, this is what I want? Or did he say, hey, you're going to have Michael Crichton working with you for the next 6 months? Was there anything like that? Because the idea of Joe Johnston, okay, you're on the film, do whatever you want. Koepp's not involved, Crichton's not involved. Spielberg, I'm working on a different film. Like, that'd be pretty stressful. Are you sure about that, right?
Yeah, I bet. So that first script, is that the first script that we know of, the 1999 one?
Yeah, so that's the one, if I'm recalling correctly, I think there's two different planes. Like, one plane crashes on the island. The second plane, there's like kids on one plane, parents on the other plane, something like that. And one plane crashes, and the other one, they try to rescue the family. There are storyboards available, which is a drastically different movie than JP3.
Okay.
The storyboards I've seen have the baryonyx, but they do have like that classic, like, sleeping baryonyx by the river, and they're rafting, kind of like from the novel. And Grant is there, but Grant has like a beard and long hair. And I don't know for sure if it gets very confusing, because I've read so many different like rumors or so many different like drafts. I've not read this script. I can't find it, but
okay.
I think it was the JP Visual History might talk about this one a little bit. But I don't know if this is the one where they wanted Grant to be like living on the island. I'm not sure if that's how he gets involved.
The kind of Robinson Crusoe thing.
Because there's another script, the Peter Buckman from April 2000, where it ends with Grant staying on the island. The Craig Rosenberg script is kind of a mystery, but there are some storyboards out there. Definitely multiple teenagers on the island being chased by dinosaurs, and Grant's there. Yeah. And the Joe Johnston quote is something like, the script read like a bad episode of Friends. And so they tossed it out. And I'm pretty sure he was referring to this script. Because, I mean, there's nothing, as far as I know, it's completely like tossed out the window in 1999.
Yeah. And then we get Peter Buckman, who is an unknown to me, really.
He's done a couple. I'm trying to think the last time I looked at his IMDb. I'm drawing a blank, but he's done like a couple of movies. I don't think there's been anything like major releases in the past like 15 years. I don't know why. Same with Craig Rosenberg. I don't know what the big interest was in getting Rosenberg or Peter Buckman. There must have been some connection. Or maybe they just assumed like they would write the first draft and then they'd bring in
somebody else would come out. Yeah, just to get them started.
Right. Maybe, and that could be as simple as what it was. Peter Buckman, because Craig Rosenberg, I'm thinking summer into fall 99. And then the first draft I've seen from Peter Buckman was in April 2000.
Right, okay.
And that's where there's like the mainland investigation. There's like dinosaur attacks or something like that. And they're trying to like find out what's going on at that point.
Okay.
So it's very different. And it's very different than the final JP3 film. So it's...
Yeah, I love the episode that you did of Stuck on Sorna with...
Oh, good. You listened to it, yeah.
So, yeah, I've listened to the series twice, actually.
Oh, great. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it was episode 7. I love doing that. And it brings a whole new life to the script. It
does. And it's pretty out there in places. I wasn't expecting it to be as dark in places. There's lots of people die.
Oh yeah, the stampede at the end.
Yeah,
I mean,
that came out of nowhere.
Yeah,
I was not expecting that.
And that's something I'm sure, like, even if that script made it to the shooting, they might have been like, you can't kill off this character like that. You gotta.
No,
it's pretty brutal, and it's
just with a foot like that,
just smashed, and it's so close to the end. And, they're bombing the island and dinosaurs exploding, and it's like, and then Grant's staying behind on the island. Like, they I like it because I think it's different. It's out there. And I like the idea of like a mainland investigation. It's pretty interesting.
Yes. It almost feels like a TV show, sort of X-Files.
Oh, yeah, X-Files for sure. Yeah, I mean, it would have been very interesting. And I mean, I get the idea of simplifying it and just keeping the movie on the island. But even that, like, they really did toss out a lot of the script. I mean, a lot of things stayed the same. But I mean, there's no that dirt bike chase and
that. Yeah, I was going to talk about the dirt, but that, and they have an obsession in Jurassic with motorbikes and dinosaurs.
Yeah.
They want raptors and motorbikes, but that is just so long. I just couldn't believe it just kept going. So we're out of the genetics lab, and then we're popping wheelies. Yeah. We're rushing around the complex, and then heading off into the jungle. It's like, God blimey, these bikes are doing really well.
Oh yeah, the fact that the bikes even work at all is it's kind of funny. But I do like, there's something about a dirt bike, motorcycle in the jungle. It's tough because like in theory I like it. I love the idea of it.
Yeah.
Jurassic World, I think the motorcycle in the woods and the jungle, like, you know, it didn't work as well for me as the idea of reading JP3 where they're on dirt bikes and maybe on some trails. I don't know, but it is interesting. Spielberg clearly loved the idea and wouldn't give up on, like, we need more dirt bikes, more bikes. No. I'm trying to think what else was in that script that was kind of out there. I mean, a lot of it's just like small changes. I do like the Paul character and his son, that kind of relationship.
Yeah.
It's kind of an overused storyline. The father who works too much and doesn't have a great relationship with his son, but then by the end of the film, they're embracing, and it's like, it's simple. I like it.
I also quite like the Grant aspect of that relationship as well. You know, in Jurassic Park, he's not okay with kids at all, and then learns to be good with kids by the end of it. And in that script, he is still great with kids, and he's teaching another, another father how to relate to his children.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I also think that I like that Grant wants to go to the island. In the script, his goal is to set up like a research station on the island, which is pretty cool. He wants to go there. Like, that's his mission. And I mean, it leads to the ending with the script where he wants to stay behind. But in the movie, they did a 180. It's like, hates the island, hates the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
So I'm very curious, like, in the process, who made that decision to change it? It really changes everything about his character from the script to the movie.
And I was wondering with that script, at what point the cast was actually brought on board. Was, William H. Macy and everything, because his character's called Paul Roby in that script. Do you think he was brought in and he thought he was playing that character?
Oh, yeah, I would say 100%. I think when I talked to him, he said he had a script initially sent to him, but it was like in his mind, like the first draft, like episode 1, so I'm assuming, I think the timeline's something like they had the Peter Buckman script that I read in my podcast is from April 2000, and it's only 50 pages. So it's kind of more like a treatment outline, but it has quite a bit of information in there. I've then read a script that's, I'm guessing from June, where it's that 50 pages extended to like 105 pages, but it's all the same storyline, just like more professional. I'm pretty sure it's Alexander Payne and Jim Taylor came on board, I'm guessing in July 2000, for about 6 weeks to rewrite it into the film that we know. And I like to think by then, William H. Macy was probably signed on.
They would have had to be, surely, because they were just about to go in. I cannot imagine Joe Johnston's position of, you've got a cast of actors that you are going to be in charge of. You're the one that's, helming the ship.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I mean, I think the only way it's probably, possible is, one, money, but also that it's Jurassic Park 3, and the first 2 films were so successful. You have Spielberg involved, and I mean, I think William H. Macy, Sam Neill, Taglioni, if they learn the script is tossed out, I'm sure they'd be like, that's very frustrating. It's the last thing an actor wants, probably, but they're professionals, and you got to trust the studio at that point, because they're not going to let JP3, be a disaster, or so they, we're hoping.
And what's your thoughts on the cast that we actually get here? Sam Neill coming back.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all about Sam Neill coming back. And as a kid, I wasn't like a big Ian Malcolm fan. Like, him being in The Lost World, I think even at like the first glance, his character's very different than the first time you saw him. I mean, he could basically be playing a whole different character. Alan Grant was the person, like, when I was a kid watching Jurassic Park, I wanted to be Alan Grant. So him being back at JP3, I think it's great. I mean, I think I always try to imagine, like, if Alan Grant was in The Lost World, would I have enjoyed it more? And the answer is yes, 100%. There's something about Sam Neill's presence on screen.
I think with Jurassic Park 3, Sam Neill feels more comfortable as the character this time around. I mean, mainly probably because he's done it before. But
Right.
I think also he understands the comedy of the situation as well. And Sam Neill is really good at comedy and the kind of lovable grumpiness that he has throughout the film. What's your thoughts on William H. Macy? And of course, you got to interview him.
I did. I was very lucky that I was able to track him down, it was incredible. I mean, I didn't expect that. I assumed he would say no.
Mm-hmm.
And I assumed that when I spoke to him, he wouldn't be like happy about it for some reason, but he was very energetic, positive. If he doesn't like the film, he didn't convey that at all. Everything was, positive. Even like the negatives that he talked about with making the movie, like to him, like the way he spoke about it was like, it was 20 years ago. I was younger. I said some things that, weren't the most positive, but it's like he's grown as a person.
Yeah. What is that quote that he says? Because I didn't know until I listened to your podcast. I didn't know of the context of it, but he said some rather unsavory things before filming had begun. Or?
It was during filming,
right?
If I'm recalling correctly, because I also interviewed Dan from Dan's JP3 page, who kind of reported the quote initially. It was something like, I'm going to butcher this quote, but it's something along the lines of feeling like the movie, they're not being a captain, or someone should be shot for. Someone should be shot.
That's the standout bit, isn't it, really?
So when I talked to Dan, I remember him saying that there was a report of when they were filming on the river, they had a boat with the camera equipment on it, and the boat like tipped over, and the camera equipment fell in the water. And William H. Macy, they kind of like vented his frustrations publicly about feeling like the whole situation was kind of getting out of hand with the filmmaking. He was very vocal about it. I mean, there's always trouble with movies, right? There's always some like production issues, but it's rare that you hear from the star of the movie before the movies come out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and hear them like saying how it feels like a disaster. Yeah. I mean, he didn't like deny that he said it when I talked to him. He was just very open, like, yeah, I said it. I shouldn't, it was a different time, even though he still feels it was true. He made that clear, like, it's true, but, probably shouldn't have said it. But I mean, Joe Johnston himself, like, because I had the newspaper clipping taped to my wall as a kid. Anything Jurassic Park 3 I saved. And it was an interview with Joe Johnston, who was saying that he had spoken to his manager or agent asking like, hey, if I quit this movie now, what would happen? And this was in an interview before the movie was released. That's also pretty rare.
Yeah.
You can tell Joe Johnston like cared about the movie, the franchise. He's proud of what he did from everything I've read, but he's also very open about like, this was kind of a bad experience occasionally. I mean, what could be more stressful you're making a third movie in a very successful franchise. There's no finished script. You're showing up every day having to like make up dialogue or what we're going to shoot. I mean, that's a worst case scenario.
Yeah. And so just before filming kind of started, a bit like Spielberg did with Jurassic Park, but for very different reasons, he shut down the production.
Right. Yeah. I think it was when Alexander Payne and Jim Taylor came on board to rewrite Peter Buckman's script and to kind of simplify it into the simple rescue mission that we know. Because there's a script I've read that's from like September 1st, 2000, and it's pretty close to the JP3 we know, except for like the ending is a little bit different. It seemed like they always struggled with how to end the movie. But yeah, I mean, I think I would guess mid-July and August, from what I can tell, was like when the production was kind of like paused. And I'm sure it was kind of like, what are we doing? Everything is kind of like stopped except for, I mean, I know like the aviary sequence was always going to be, they knew that would be in the movie. So
yeah. And that was something that Spielberg wanted in the film originally.
Yes. I mean, I'm sure that's the one thing they could keep like working on and building. But for the most part, as far as I know, like a lot of things were kind of, paused. I haven't talked to Joe Johnston yet, so I feel like he's the one person that would know.
It'd be interesting to hear from Alexander Payne and Jim Taylor as well, at that point of their career, being asked to come and, in all intents and purposes, save a huge, blockbuster film just before it's about to start filming.
Yeah, I know. Alexander Payne, I've reached out to him and written letters. He actually spoke at a local art theater. I bought a ticket for it. He was doing a Q&A after it. Mm-hmm. But my son, he was about a year and a half at the time, less than that. And my wife was working. My mom was going to watch him, but then she couldn't. And I was like, okay, I got my son. I'll just go and watch the Q&A and hope that my son like behaves. They were playing the movie Election. Me and my son stayed in the hallway, and then once the movie ended, we walked in, and there was a line of people asking Q&A questions. And I was standing in the line. I'm like, I just want to ask him about Jurassic Park 3. Like any question, I had like a list. But my son, and once I was getting closer, he was getting grumpy and not cooperating. I'm like, I can't be that guy with a kid. So I left, but I was like, man, that's probably the closest I'll get to Alexander Payne to ask him that question. I keep reaching out, but like I'd be fascinated by what he has to say about his time on the film. He's a great writer, great director, and
yeah, and I mean, I remember watching like About Schmidt that came out like a little while after that with Jack Nicholson, and the only reason I watched that is because I knew that the name that they were attached to that because of Jurassic Park 3.
Oh, really?
It's such a funny film. And of course, now The Holdovers.
That's a great movie.
That's, it's going to be always on at Christmas for me, And I think that's what they managed to add to Jurassic Park 3. Just a bit of lightness, a bit of humor, a bit of knowing that this is the third film in a franchise.
I mean, them getting, Jim Taylor, Alexander Payne, and saying you have like 6 weeks to save the movie. I mean, they must have known clearly that William H. Macy was a big star of the movie. Yes. And I feel like they took his character kind of like from the movie Fargo. William H. Macy is amazing in Fargo. And it's the character is kind of like in a similar like world as far as like car salesman kind of guy, a regular guy that's kind of like a doofus a little bit, like goofy, and they put him in a Jurassic Park movie. I don't think, Payne and Jim Taylor were on board during filming. As far as I know, Peter Buckman came back. And I know John August also came on board for a little bit. But I don't think those two writers were involved. And I kind of wish they would have been, because I know they were making up dialogue, on the day, like these conversations about tow truck drivers and that, fishing and stuff like that. Like there could have been more. That's like the one thing with JP3. I wish there was more time like them to talk and just like take a break and talk more, like add something more to the character a little bit than what there is. In one of the scripts, the September 2000 script, I think, which is close to the final film, I feel like the character Eric tells his mom something like Ben got hurt, like mentions at least that Ben Hildebrand is dead. And that line always sticks with me because it like feels very natural and innocent where it's like, he got hurt. And it's like, Eric's a kid. He's been on an island for 2 months, traumatized. The one adult that he had died in a tree. And it's like, of course that would mess you up. Like I wish there was more to that, but like they just didn't have time to kind of like cut it all out, and it's a bummer because JP3 had room to really grow. So
with Jurassic Park 3, that's the bits that we didn't get. I think there's so much to love about JP3, starting I think with that, amazing plane crash.
Yeah, I mean the plane crash. I mean, right when they land on the island, I mean, within minutes, like it's just chaos, right? Plane crashes, falling out of the tree, Spino killing people. And they do a great job of just like getting into the action, which is not what we're kind of used to with the first two movies, where they kind of pace it out nice and slow. But it does make sense when you don't have much of a script. It's like, well, we know the plane crash needs to happen, so it's like, we'll extend that action. Don't need too much dialogue.
No.
But it does work pretty well. I mean, the crash, it leads right into the Spino T-Rex fight. And that leads right into the Kirby's revealing who they are.
Yeah.
The plane crash, I've learned to appreciate it more than just a plane crash. Like you've seen the behind the scenes pictures and read stories about like, it's very well done. Yeah. I love the editing.
Because that's all real, isn't it? That's a real model.
Yeah.
Which feels exactly like Joe Johnston was doing on Star Wars.
Yeah. I mean, he knows what he's doing. And, between Stan Winston, and the crews, the modeling of this movie, I would never have known the plane, was a model. But you see the pictures where they're like the multiple size planes, right? They're miniature, there's a bigger one, there's one that's in a tree that's permanently in the tree and like kind of rotates back and forth. I mean, it's very impressive work. When I first saw the movie as a kid, where I wasn't like overly in love with it, to now I, love the movie. But I've learned like what goes into filmmaking. I get it. Like what we're watching on screen, CGI has taken over quite a bit. And this was still a lot of CGI in this movie, but also a lot of, practical effects. And that stuff I appreciate. If you see a practical effect or like models and miniature buildings and sets, it's like, it's impressive now. And it's like, I get it because it looks more real.
It's a fun opening. And then, did you ever get the controversy between the T-Rex and the Spino fight?
Not really. I mean, it's funny. Like, it's always, if you go on Twitter, Instagram, like there's so many different like memes or people like, I don't know. I mean, I never thought much about it.
No.
I mean, I like the T-Rex, but it didn't mean anything to me, like compared to the characters. So seeing the T-Rex die, like I get it now, as in like that was a big deal for the franchise because they wouldn't do that.
No.
In a Jurassic World movie, right? T-Rex was the hero. So it's like I have a lot of respect for JP3 to change it up and not just be like,
yeah.
I mean, they could have ignored the T-Rex completely, just not put it on screen.
Yeah.
And just have the Spino. But like, no, we're going to kill it.
And then to have an editing gag of when the Spinosaurus moves its head and then it cuts to Grant having just punched Paul Kirby in the face. I think that's where you can see like Joe Johnston really shine in those moments because that's his vision for how this film is going to be.
What's funny about that is, to me, like as a kid, even after I had seen it like many times, it goes from like the T-Rex like falls,
yeah,
and then Kirby gets punched, but it's kind of like you hear the sound and he's like falling back like that, and then Mrs. Kirby's like, hey, wait, no, please don't wait. As a kid, for some reason, I always thought she was talking to the Spino,
yeah,
the T-Rex. I mean, like, oh, come on, please don't, like, don't fight, that kind of thing.
I think that's there too.
Even when Grant gets knocked out on the plane,
yes,
by Cooper, you don't see it. It's just like his eyes close, like the shot on Kirby, and like it fades to black, and Kirby's reaction, the ooh, and it's weird, it's funny, but it's like, it's a very unique way of shooting it because it would never cross my mind to be like, are we going to shoot it? But keep it on Paul Kirby, have him make a face and like have it fade to black. Like there's some unique filmmaking decisions that very much make it like a Joe Johnston movie. I don't think everyone would pick up on it, but like it's subtle comedy.
Yes.
That's there.
It's different because it's a very different thing to see Cooper come up and elbow him in the back of the head. That's a very different thing. It's more fitting to the kind of Amblin sort of world that, you know, Spielberg created.
It's grown on me quite a bit.
Yeah. And so after all this, they go back to the crash site. Then they find Ben's skeleton in the parachute. And yeah, I love the raptor eggs and the nest sequence. It's just so much fun, that bit, and kind of Grant's reaction to it all. Yeah.
One of my favorite shots that, you know, Grant like popping up, like rising into the shot, and like, you know, he's afraid. Yeah. Like our hero is afraid, and like, this is like getting serious now. It's like, one of my favorite parts of the movie. Plus, really well, I think, to me, they did a good job most of the time of filming on location in a jungle, then going to a set jungle. And like in that scene, it matches pretty well. It's very convincing. I mean, at least when I was a 13-year-old, I assumed everything was in the jungle. You know, it's like, as you're older, you catch some things and it's like, oh, okay, probably a set. But for the most part, sometimes it's flawless. It's very well done.
I remember actually that scene as a 13-year-old boy watching it, and the audience in the cinema, when it pans the different eggs, it had a reaction on the audience I was seeing it with.
Oh, really? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, they're all oohs and ahs of like, because they understood what that was and what that meant because of what they'd seen in Jurassic Park and Lost World. So it had the desired effect.
I mean, that's when audiences knew that raptors were scary, right?
Yeah.
They were the bad guys. So it's like, we've kind of been reconditioned to know that raptors they're friendly. Blue's our buddy. A lot has changed in the past 20 years.
And then that leads to my favorite set of the whole thing, which is the abandoned genetics lab. And I wish we had more time here. Yeah,
a lot of potential too. I mean, this is where they could have been going through different rooms or learning about what InGen was doing or still doing. Like that would have been pretty fantastic. I mean, there's a lot of potential. They could have stumbled upon, you know, somebody else that had been left behind by InGen, you know, some worker. Who knows? Like you could go like 10 different directions if you had more time to like really plan it out.
Yeah.
What they would find in the lab, because it's the most interesting part.
Definitely.
I mean, there's like that mystery of what's going on the island. They don't really fully answer. Like the Spino wasn't on the list.
No.
Okay, we don't learn why or what's going on. It's like, as a viewer, we can think about it. And this would have been the one chance to really get into it and answer those questions. But even as it is, like, it's a lot of fun. I love abandoned buildings in movies. That's out of Jurassic Park movies. I wish, like, even Jurassic World, going back to the visitor center in Jurassic World, like, I wanted a whole movie like that.
Definitely. And I just love the fact of the raptors, you know, running through these corridors, and actually throughout the whole film, just how alive the dinosaurs feel. The blending of the ILM dinosaurs and Stan Winston's ones. It's, for me, it's seamless how they go from each other. It's more so than the previous films, I think. I think this one, they're really working in tandem.
Yeah, I mean, the JP3 still holds up in quite a few areas, and one of them is going from CGI raptors to animatronics to people in suits, like wearing the raptor outfits. Yeah. I mean, you're going from like a shot that has CGI and animatronics or a person in a suit, and it's very convincing.
Yeah.
Like they knew what they were doing. And that's the one thing, like Jurassic World mostly, stood out to me, was the raptor just looked different, and not in a good way.
Yeah.
There was something that was done differently. It looked different. It doesn't hold up. But JP3 from, 24 years ago, the raptors are beautiful, like very well done.
Such a shame, because there's a clear evolution between Jurassic Park and Jurassic Park 3, where those teams, they invented this technology back then, or this partnership in Jurassic Park. And then by the time they get to Jurassic Park 3, it feels like the relationship's really strong. So it's such a shame that, Stan Winston wasn't around and the studio wasn't really, CGI had taken over so much by that point that to kind of go and do it the practical way would have cost them a lot more money. That seems to be the reason why they didn't go down the practical route for Jurassic World, was the money involved. And then you get the Pteranodons and the Avery sequence, which is probably, for me, the standout section of this film. It feels the one that's the most put together. I think the production design, again, is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, from what I've seen from talking to some of the crew and the cast, I mean, and you can find pictures on various Jurassic Park fan sites or on Instagram of like the way they built the canyon at the studio. I mean, like physically built canyon walls, which is pretty impressive. And I mean, adding the CGI to it, I don't know. I mean, I agree. It's very impressive. It's the standout part of the movie. I mean, it goes up with it's up there with any, like the T-Rex breakout in Jurassic Park 1. Like to me, it's so well done, beginning to end, and visually, everything. Like this is the reason to make Jurassic Park 3, right? The reason to keep like, no matter all the challenges, like the aviary sequence, we have to bring it to the screen because everything is so well done. The suspense, like the lead up to it, to Grant realizing they're in a birdcage. I mean, there's not many like better moments in the franchise where like a character realizes they're in like serious trouble. That's like, as a viewer, what we want. And the suspense and the music, the sound design in that whole sequence, the flapping and like the rattling, the catwalk and the metal shaking.
Yeah.
Everything comes together in that. The behind the scenes, everything I've seen, it's like, it's impressive, but it doesn't look like the final product. The final product, like once you add in the CGI or more fog and the darkness, like it takes on a whole new life. I would love to, if I could go back in time and walk that set, because I mean, the scale of it is just impressive. It's impressive that out of what they built, they could make a whole sequence. I mean, they add in like, I'm sure a lot of blue screen stuff and CGI, but it's very, very convincing that it takes place over, a good amount of space in this canyon.
Yeah, it feels like a real location.
Yeah, and it's the fact that it goes from, the top of the canyon, walking down the steps, the catwalk, between Billy and Eric flying around, then falling into the water, everyone falling into the water. I mean, it's just like, they make great use of the canyon, of the space, going from top to bottom.
Yeah.
It's one of the things that has frustrated me about Jurassic World, is that there doesn't appear to be like an attempt to top this. In all three movies, I'm like, there's nothing that really comes close to it. And I think,
no,
the first movie, the breakout of the T-Rex, it's great. Lost World, the trailer over the cliff is incredible. 3's aviary sequence. Nothing in my mind ever came close to the aviary sequence. I don't know why. I don't know what could possibly, but having like a sequence, like it's like a clearly defined part of the movie, that it's like, this is what we're focusing on for 8 minutes, right?
Yeah, and you've got Billy that dies, essentially in this. What's the reason, do you think, that he came back at the end? Because it feels like a very definitive death.
Oh yeah, he's dead. Oh, you could not kill that guy more. I mean, Billy was a goner, right? I mean, as a viewer, Billy coming back is pretty shocking to the point where he's still able to talk. It's kind of like, whoa, I thought you were getting like stabbed and drowned.
I mean, he's just got a few bandages. That's all.
I know. It's like that strong desire to have like that Spielberg happy ending.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wonder if they shot multiple versions where Billy stayed dead, because it wouldn't take much to just like cut him out of that scene, right?
No.
You know, it's just like he appears, they talk. He's got the hat. I guess the hat might be the one thing.
He's got the hat, yeah, which is the big thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
maybe he could have written a note which said, "I'm sorry for the eggs, but I've saved your hat."
Or the military found the hat. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
I don't know. It is weird that he stayed alive. I assume they shot multiple ways, in maybe some kind of like studio test audience or executive said, "You can't kill off Billy. If we make a fourth movie," like he's the younger generation.
Although I don't think he wanted to be in a fourth one.
It didn't sound like it, but I mean, I'm sure you've seen like the pictures from the video game that was canceled, where it's like Billy with the raptor. I mean, I don't know why I like that he's alive, because I always wanted him to be in the next movie. You know, I like Billy, but on screen he should have died.
We get the river sequence, which is sort of their way of putting the lagoon bit from the book in, but not quite. I think the strongest parts of this film are obviously the bits that they worked on the most while the script was being, tossed from pillar to post, and all different writers coming on board, Stan Winston and the storyboard artists and everybody, they were working hard. It's interesting, the cutting between Barney.
Oh, I don't like it. I mean, I get the comedy of it, but it's right up there with, like, in The Lost World, the trailer over the cliff scene is nearly perfect. And there's that one line about apple turnovers from McDonald's or something.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, I really hate that line. I don't know why. It's just more like, I want to be scared for these characters. I don't want them making jokes about ordering fast food. Like, I don't want to be taken out of the scene. And when you watch JP3 with Barney, that's the best way to take somebody out, is to not only make like intercut with comedy, but a real life character that we all know. And we all have our thoughts on Barney. And as a 13-year-old, Barney's not cool, right?
No.
At least it wasn't to me. So, I mean, when you cut back and forth, it's like, oh, it just felt weird. It still feels weird. I get the comedy of it. And I mean, I'm curious, like, I still don't know who put that into the script exactly, or if it was added later. If I would go back in time and they're editing the movie, I would say, hey, you don't need to show so much Barney. Maybe cut it back or skip it. And I'm sure at the idea, it was probably very simple. Like, Charlie's watching TV, and maybe on the day they go to film, they're like, hey, what if he's watching Barney? Wouldn't that be funny? And like, yeah, I could see that being funny, but it's very much like a focus. Like you see it's Barney, and it's like, okay, I get what they're doing. Lovable dinosaur. Oh, they're getting killed by a dinosaur. Yeah. I don't know. It's not the best moment. How about that?
No.
But besides that, it's all pretty great.
It's great, yeah. And I do love the raptor sequence, which seems to be present in quite a few of the scripts. But this is the end of the film. This is the climax. This is the equivalent of the T-Rex coming into the visitor center.
I didn't know it was supposed to. Like, I didn't know this is the big showdown, like at the end, like the raptor, the egg handoff. Like, and I mean, still watching to this day, it's like, this is like they hand the eggs back. It should be a nice pause. Everything's good. Oh, there's somebody on the beach. The military is here. Okay. But now things should go wrong again. Like, there needs to be that. Like, you don't feel like the egg handoff is what the movie's leading to, even though like it makes sense. And I know some of the scripts, I think it happens more like in the middle of the movie. But I mean, visually it's beautiful. I like that, Amanda Kirby takes charge, like to hand the egg back. Like, she wants to be the leader. I think that's great. Yeah. And I think it's also like symbolic, with the egg and the mom raptor and the mother losing her son. Like,
yeah. And she gets her moment in the film.
Yeah, so it all makes sense, and I think it's great. But it's funny because it's like I almost like devalue it because it's supposed to be a bigger moment than it feels as a viewer. Like, because I know they're not gonna hurt our main characters at that point. Yeah.
So the film came out summer 2001, and what was the sort of reaction that it had?
Yeah, I mean, I think critics were kind of mixed on it. I know I've read some reviews where it was kind of like it's a nice change of pace from the previous two, where the two felt like longer than they should have been. Whereas I think most people didn't love it. And I think fans too, I mean, including myself at first, it didn't make as much as the other two films, but, it had a lot of competition for one.
Yeah.
Not to mention it was also a third movie. But I mean, it had week after week. At the following week was, I think, Planet of the Apes. And then it had Rush Hour 2, then American Pie 2. It was some heavy competition.
Yeah.
That those movies were making money. I mean, I think Planet of the Apes made like almost 70 million opening weekend. It was 70 million, 24 years ago.
That's massive.
It was pretty significant. Yeah. And I think Rush Hour 2 did like almost the same thing. And it's like, you need to be a really great movie to survive that kind of competition. And Jurassic Park 3 definitely divided people. Yeah. I know it still like divides fans to this day. People seem to enjoy it more, but at the time, it was not looked upon as an entry that was as good as the first two, or at least the first one. I mean, so I'm glad that it's kind of come around to where people appreciate it more, but at the time, not so much.
No, I feel like I've spent most of my time defending Jurassic Park 3, and that seems to have changed in the past couple of years. People are finally coming around to the joy of Jurassic Park 3. And another thing that I've always really liked about the film is the score, because again, Don Davis had a lot of pressure on him to create a score out of John Williams's amazing score for the past two films.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I bought the soundtrack. I probably got it as like a gift in 2001, probably for Christmas. But I mean, I think it's great. I think it's very strong. Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing with somebody stepping in for Spielberg, stepping in for John Williams. That's a lot of pressure and a lot you have to live up to. And I think using some of the classic moments from John Williams, previous scores, it works, but adding on to it, I mean, the aviary sequence, like the music, the reveal of the Pteranodon, just like the music, it sticks with me. I think it's underappreciated, that's for sure. And that's another person I would love to talk to, Don Davis. I mean, I can't imagine what that's like stepping in for someone, like John Williams.
And he was suggested, I think, by John Williams to take on the role. I think.
Was he?
But I listened to that CD 100 times. The Randy Newman track.
As a kid, I always thought it was kind of funny, like so random to have the song from the bar on the soundtrack. I appreciate it now more. I think it's great. I love the song.
It's the time of music on soundtracks, and they thought even Jurassic Park 3 has got to have at least one track.
Yeah, plus, I mean, the CD you could put into your computer drive and watch the trailer and some behind-the-scenes stuff. So as a kid, I loved it. I mean, I still listen to the soundtrack. So
yeah, I was wondering, your podcast, Stuck on Sorna, what was the production history? How long were you in production for making that series? You spoke to, it feels like hundreds of people.
Yeah, quite a few. And some, didn't even make it into the podcast, where, I couldn't fit it into, the conversation somehow. And hopefully I'll use it on, new episodes. But yeah, I mean, I started interviewing in 2018, and I talked to the editor, Robert Dalva. And at first, I emailed him. He emailed back, and it was a struggle to get him to agree to a phone call. He just wanted to email back and forth. Okay. I was very polite. And that was literally just recording my phone on speakerphone. It's 2018. I wanted to do a Skype call at the time, but he was an older gentleman. He's since passed away. The technology thing, it just wasn't working. It's if this was 2020, during COVID, everybody's using Zoom. They were very different. Yeah. But in 2018, we did the phone call. So interviewed him, reached out to a lot of people. But I mean, I think it was just tough to get started because, I didn't have anything to say or show anybody. So it really wasn't until probably 2020, late 2020, where I really had time to reach out to more people. And I think more people had free time that they could, agree to let me interview them.
Yeah.
In 2021, in July, I released the first episode. And I really thought I would just be releasing an episode where each episode would be an interview with somebody, just very basic, straightforward.
Yeah.
But then people were talking about the same thing, or, sharing the same stories about different parts of the film. So they're editing it together that way. And I realized it'd be a bigger project than I expected.
Yeah.
My goal was something very simple, just release some interviews. And then I started editing them together, and it kind of took over my life for a little bit, after work and into the night. Whereas right now I've been interviewing off and on people for episodes I'm going to release next summer for the 25th anniversary. And I'm trying to plan it out better, so it's a little bit easier, but it all depends on who agrees to talk to me.
It's fantastic. I think these things are really important for getting particularly what you've done, because that film didn't have the kind of love that Universal gave to Jurassic Park and The Lost World. There wasn't a making of book. I think, what you've managed to do is capture a bit of production history. And, I think that's incredibly important, because, as you say, the editor's now passed away and this is his, contribution. If you hadn't have reached out to him, we wouldn't have had that conversation with that, person about his history of making that film. So I think it's an amazing listen, and I
appreciate the kind words, and I do wish there was more official JP3 love from Universal, but it definitely feels forgotten a little bit.
I'd just like to say thank you so much for joining me today. I think it's been really great, and I can't wait to hear what you've got coming for the 25th anniversary.
Yeah, that's my goal. So that's what I'm working towards, but we'll see. Yeah, hopefully I'll get some good people to be interviewed, but I mean, it's still, I'm constantly reaching out to people and hoping some of the bigger people in the production will respond, but we'll see. Fingers crossed. So I appreciate you listening, and thank you for interviewing me and talking to me about JP3, because I love JP3 and Jurassic Park, and I'm glad you thought of me for this episode.
My big thanks to Daniel for that conversation. He is just so knowledgeable and passionate about this film, and it really does come across in his Stuck on Sorna podcast. And I think it's a podcast that's not just for JP3 fans. I think it's a podcast for film fans. Go and follow him on Instagram at StuckOnSorna. Up on this feed, I've got a bonus episode coming out this Friday as I take a break from looking at the films in the series. I'm just trying to simulate the agonising wait between Jurassic Park 3 and Jurassic World, so bear with me. But I have got an amazing conversation to bring you. It's with Jurassic franchise ambassador Stephen Ray Morris of the See Jurassic Right podcast. We cover our excitement for Rebirth, we share our series rankings and hot takes, and also our prediction for wedding music 100 years from now. Let's just say it's wide-ranging, and I had an absolute blast recording it. If you like what I'm doing here, then please share this podcast on social media using the hashtag #RoadToRebirthPod and follow along on Instagram at @RoadToRebirthPod. But until next time, I'll say thank you very much for listening, and goodbye.